Okay, so spiritual money mind shift Thursday night, and I am so excited to have Kayla here. If you've been in the group, you've seen her posts. You know, she's an amazing mom of two. She's been married for 7 years. She is an artist, a professional artist. She is a professional bread maker. Um, and I see you smiling. She sells her art for money. That's the definition of a professional. And I'm excited to hear about the bread because bread, it's so funny we call money bread, dough, but you actually make real bread and real dough, and that saves a lot of money. So tonight we're just going to have a conversation about bread, dough, as in real bread and real dough, and money, and whatever else comes to mind. So, are you relatively new at making the sourdough? Why
I
or not? I want to know how you started. Like, why did you start doing sourdough bread?
mhm.
When did you learn it? And I know you've kind of picked it up again in the last year and have been selling sourdough bread, which is the best bread.
Yes, I agree.
So how did that start?
Well, I mean, I hadn't done sourdough before. I started doing sourdough like probably last July. So it's almost been a year. And before that I had only made like I'd made bread. I made like bread and like challah, um, things like that, like naan. I love making naan because naan's really good too. um, and so anyways, I started making it because I don't know, I just saw a video on like Instagram or something, of somebody making it, and I was like, oh, that looks easy. I've made bread before. I've wanted to make sourdough forever. I'm just gonna go for it. All I need to do is just get some starter from my friend. So I asked my friend for some starter if I could have some, and he's like, yeah, sure. And so he gave me some, and he's really good at making sourdough. And I was like, okay, so like he gave me the starter. Then I get home and I'm like, okay, so now like I text him, I'm like, what do I do now? He's like, uh, and so he like sends me all these videos about sourdough, and they were all like, 20 minutes, an hour, an hour, an hour. And I was like, oh my God. I yeah, I started watching the videos and I felt like, what did I just get myself into? And I didn't realize, like, I don't know, sourdough is just one of those things, like when you start, it's very overwhelming. It was to me. There's a lot of steps, it's a lot of time. The starter, you have to keep it alive. That was a big adjustment for me. I'm like, okay, this is my third child, I guess. And so yeah, it was just, I kind of got into it without knowing what I was getting myself into, which I'm glad, because if I would have known beforehand, I probably wouldn't have done it. But then because he gave me the starter, I just was like, okay, this is a gift. I better like, take care of it and do what I need to do to keep this
So you're
alive.
kind of so you're kind of obligated now. You took
Yeah.
it and
Yes. Yeah.
name your starter. Some people name their starter.
No, I didn't. Didn't, but I should. Yeah. But yeah, so then I started making it, and the first couple times were difficult, but after that I feel like after the second or third time you make sourdough, you can do it with your eyes closed, sleeping at night. That's how I feel. I'm like, all it is just, it's really not that hard. Like once you start, you know. And also people make it like really, they can make it really complicated, and it doesn't have to be. It can be simple. Like when I first started making sourdough, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to get the temperature of the water right. Like it has to be 95 degrees, 96 degrees. Like if it's over that, like what am I going to do if I get a drop over? Like I weighed my starter every time and it was like the same measurements every time. And I was like, I cannot get it wrong. If I do too much flour, then it's ruined. And I had a friend who's been making it for a while, and she was like, she was like asking me about my starter and like what my measurements are. And I was told her, and she was like, oh yeah, today I did this, she kind of like she's like, you don't have to do the same measurements every time. She kind of like made me realize, oh, it doesn't have to be perfect every time, like it's going to be okay if you do 25 grams of starter instead of 125 grams of starter, so anyways, things like that. It's all sourdough talk, but
that is great. So how did your first like 2 or 3 loaves turn out? Did you have some failures? Did you have some bricks?
Honestly, they turned out pretty good.
You're a natural.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm perfect in my bread making skills or anything like that, but I don't know. I just followed the YouTube video that my friend sent me, and it turned out really good. So it's, all props to the guy who made that video. So yeah, and then but I will say after a while, I did notice with that recipe that he was using on that video, that my dough was a little bit more airy than I'd like. Like there was more bubbles inside the dough, like in the loaf, than I would like. So I found a different recipe that now I use and I enjoy. And all it is like a different ratio of water and flour, because sourdough is just water and flour and salt, as you know.
All right. So, but you did have experience with bread making before. So you weren't completely new to bread making. Now, did you have like bricks before when you started your first bread making journey? I just want to know that I'm not the only one. Because like when I started, I'd be like, I can't even eat this. It's like I'm going to build a house with these.
You're not alone. You're definitely not alone. My first, I think my first challah bread that I made was not great. I was like, I don't know how people do this. This took so much time and it didn't turn out great. So I'm just going to buy it from the store. But, yeah, it's just like trial and error and just, trying it like anything. You just keep getting better as you keep trying, yeah, I've definitely made some bad things in my life for sure.
Well, I love your perseverance, because I mean, that's gonna get you to a good place no matter what your goal is. Not giving up. Now flour wanted to go that route.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Okay.
It's
all right.
Glitched.
Have you, flour wise, what flour do you use? Do you use store-bought?
Mm-hmm.
Do you grind your own? Have you ever thought about going that route of grinding or milling your own flour?
I mean, I would love to mill my own flour. I do use store-bought right now. I just go to Costco and I get their all-purpose organic flour. It's the cheapest that I've found, like per ounce. I think I've compared, the different organic flours in the area, and that's what I use. But I would love to, I would love to mill my own. I just haven't looked into it enough. But I remember you said that you got yours didn't you get yours from a thrift store? Did you say that?
I got my bread maker from a thrift store.
Okay.
I use a Vitamix to mill
Oh,
my flour. So those are pretty powerful.
wow.
Now, I love that you're starting out with store-bought flour because sourdough is tricky. And when you move to grinding your own flour,
Hmm.
heavier because
Yeah.
you've got the wheat bran and the wheat germ and you've got the
Mhm.
vitamin E and you've got the everything that just weighs it down.
Yeah.
So maybe for my sourdough, I need to maybe incorporate some of the
Yeah.
store-bought flour because it's a whole different animal. You know,
Yeah.
you have to get used to that
Yeah.
thing.
I can imagine that that would be tricky to make it with. I like all-purpose sourdough loaves the best. I know they're not like technically they're probably not the best for you nutrition wise, but I just like how they taste.
But
And they're
there,
easy. Yeah, they're easy to make. And but I have used whole wheat and store bought though. And I also have bought rye,
mm,
like a dark organic rye on Amazon, and I've used that for probably about 6 months to. I just mostly used it in my starter.
nice.
So I would mix rye and all-purpose in my starter, and then in my loaves I would use the starter, and then I would use all-purpose, all-purpose. I've also used bread flour, which a lot of people use for sourdough. They'll use half bread flour and half all-purpose. But I personally haven't seen like, a difference between all-purpose and half bread, half all-purpose. So
What about the rye? Do you taste a little difference or there's just such a small amount of starter that you don't?
uh, yeah, the rye does give it more of a sour kick.
Mm, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more rye that you use, the more sour it will taste.
Okay. I can't wait to try rye. I haven't bought any yet.
Mm.
Now, the thing that I love about learning these skills is you never know what's going to happen. And when we had lockdown,
Hmm.
back little while, I couldn't get yeast. The
Yeah.
stores were all sold out of yeast.
Yeah.
And that's when I started trying sourdough because I'm like, well, I don't have any yeast. Um,
Wow.
so I made my own starter, which
Wow.
was not that hard. Again, I found a
Right.
video and maybe we can put our links under
Hmm.
this when I get the video up, we can put our little links and tips for anybody that wants to try it. But that's really old school. When you can develop a skill,
Yeah.
you're going to be more resilient. And
Mm.
who knows if any government's planning another lockdown? We don't
Right.
know. In Florida, we have hurricanes. I know in the Midwest, there's tornadoes. You never know when something's going to happen. And
Right.
the food supply chain is going to be interrupted.
Hmm. Hmm.
You have some skills to make bread, which again, no matter which flour you use, you are still pre-digesting the flour
Right.
before you bake it, so your body is able to digest it better. Again, a
Mm.
huge health benefit. Um, so those skills are super important.
Yeah.
So, man, all right. So I just figured out talking to you, my failures are I have been using recipes that have called for regular flour, and I've been grinding my own. And
Yeah.
it doesn't, I need a little extra help from,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You have to I think you yeah, if you use like ground flour, like a freshly ground flour, I want to say it absorbs more water. So you would have to adjust your ratios.
Yeah. And then humidity, do you find as a baker that you have more of a feel now and you tweak it because elevation, humidity, I think it really affects bread.
Yeah. The humidity and the temperature for sure. Like, yeah, in the wintertime, my loaves definitely grow slower. They, they rise slower for sure. In the summertime, they're like, you know,
Okay,
they grow faster for
that's good
sure.
to know. All right, here's my other question, and then we're going to move into earning extra income because I know you were selling. You were
Mhm.
doing so many things to earn extra income, and I love it. But how do you know when your sourdough is proofed? Because you don't want to overproof it, you don't want to underproof it. You want it to be right in that sweet spot. And I seem like I always miss that sweet spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I I would so they have you can do a test. So like especially in the summertime is a great time to be able to make your loaf in the like you can make your loaf as long as you start your so if you begin your levain or your starter the night before. So if okay, say I want to make bread for tomorrow. So tonight I will mix my starter for tomorrow. So I'll make sure that I have enough starter to make 2 loaves plus have some starter left over that I can keep feeding and that's my you know starter that will continue on. So I'll make my starter for 2 loaves plus and I'll do that tonight. By the time in the morning, like say I wake up at 8, it will be ready to be baked with. It'll be bubbly and ready to go. Um, and so I can start my dough tomorrow morning. And this is what I do a lot of the time. And so I start my dough in the morning and then it'll be ready by, let's see, if I started at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. So it'll be done by 1:30. It'll be ready to bake if I started at 9. Oh, well, it won't be ready to bake. Sorry, it'll be ready to almost go in the oven. So it'll do its last proof. So that's when I would at 1:30, that's when I would do its final shape and I would put it in its bowl and let it rise in a bowl. Like that's the final step before you put it in the oven. And I usually in the summertime, I've I've baked it. I've let it rise for like 45 minutes in a bowl and then I bake it and it turns out so good.
Wow.
Yeah, so it turns out perfect. So you can have a loaf of sourdough bread by, 3 or 4 p.m. Um so what I do to see if it's ready is you put flour on your finger and then you just push your finger into the dough and bring your finger up and watch how it rises. Like watch how the dough fills that space. If it fills it super fast, like if it just bounces right back, then it's not ready. It needs to be proofed more. If it rises, but it's a slow rise and it kind of like fills it like in a minute or two, then it's ready.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the missing piece. That makes sense. I can
Yeah.
do that. All right,
Yeah.
so you and a sourdough is the best. It's really worth the time, but not everybody who's watching has time or desire to do it. I think you just got a bread maker and you posted how easy is that?
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
but
It,
put some ingredients in, press a button, come back.
yeah. Yeah. It's so great. It's great. My brother-in-law gave it to me because he saw how much time sourdough takes, and he loves sourdough, and he didn't know anything about sourdough. So he was like, you'll just make your sourdough on the bread maker now. Like, I got this bread maker for you. This is gonna save you so much time. Don't worry. Like, and I got it, and I was like, less, but like, thank you so much, but I cannot make sourdough in a bread maker. Not quality sourdough anyway.
Oh man.
Yeah, so but I can make amazing sandwich bread,
Yep.
which my kids eat a lot of sandwiches. And so, and I can make cinnamon loaves, and
Mhm.
you know, there's other things that you can make. So I was like very grateful for it, you know.
That
So
I would love to have a bread maker that made sourdough,
yeah,
but I don't think it exists. It's really hands-on. So if you're
yeah.
watching the replay, get a bread maker. I got a bread maker for $10 at the thrift store. It worked fine. No problems with
Yeah.
the bread maker. And I taught my
Yes.
son how to make bread. It is
Mhm.
it's awesome. And as you said, you can make anything. Sometimes I'll take the dough out
Mhm.
and I will make like little hamburger buns, the same dough that I do for sandwich bread.
Oh
I just take
wow.
it out, I weigh it. I do 90. Okay, what are the two measurements? I just lost my head. There's ounces and there's grams. I do 90 grams for the dough ball.
Okay.
And I just roll it after it's all kneaded. I just roll it, put it on a flat tray, mush it down a little, let it rise for
Wow.
45 minutes, put it in the oven, and it changes the taste just a little and it cooks fast. My family loves it.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So good.
You're gonna save me money in hamburger buns.
Yeah, yeah. And oh my gosh, I love sesame, the sesame seeds.
Yes.
If you put that in your bread, just a little, it'll be a
Oh.
little fluffier and a little lighter.
Oh, really?
You don't even need that much, a couple tablespoons.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's cool.
So, so
Wow.
awesome stuff with that. Now I know people have been saying in the group, when should I start earning extra income?
Yeah.
And I say, now, right now, as soon as you can. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have time, the what we want to do, we want to be financially free. We want to get out of debt. So we want to reduce what we owe and we want to increase our income and we want to invest. So there's a three-pronged thing. So how long have you been making more money? I mean, you're a mom of two young boys. That's a full-time job. That's a
Yeah.
freaking full-time job, 24/7, on call all the time. The chauffeur, the laundry maker, the bread maker, the cook, the cleaning lady,
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
How do you have time to do your art, sell your bread?
Yeah.
Now you're driving. So you've produced three income streams that I know of.
Yes. Yeah. I also I do work here in like part-time, very part-time for the car dealership that Gage's parents run. They own a car dealership. So I make calls from home for them to just customer service calls, checking in with people. And that's nice because I can do that on my own time. But yeah. Sorry, what was the question? Was it about
Income. And gosh, there's no excuses. There are so many places that want customer service people to work
Mhm.
out of their own home.
Yeah.
So every time I call a customer service rep for whatever,
Mhm.
I bought something and I need to return it, or, insurance or whatever, I ask them if they're working from home. 9 times out of
Yeah.
10, they're working from home. So that's one income stream. And
Mhm.
it sounds like you've
Yeah.
structured everything according to your schedule. It's not a 9 to 5 job where you have a boss telling you
Right.
when to come in.
Right. Yeah. So I found things that are flexible because my husband's job is very not flexible. It's his, he works for UPS, so he's gone from like 8:30 in the morning to sometimes 8:30 at night, 7:30, you know. So it's a very long hours job that he has. So I have to be there for, the kids at all times of the day. For drop offs and pickups and things like that and school and all the things. So yeah, I have to have income streams that are flexible. Otherwise it won't work with our schedule. So um and yeah, so I've really just I'm always trying to think of ways to make money that are flexible, that um you know that I can do from home, or that I can do, easily. That mostly it's just like flexible hours. That's my thing. I'm like, if it's flexible hours and I get paid for it, then doesn't matter how much I'm getting paid, and I want to do that thing, you know. So yeah, and I babysit too. That was another thing. Um, so
Five,
yeah.
five income streams right there. 5 income streams. And I, as I'm watching you talk, as I'm hearing about the flexibility, another thing I noticed is you're not doing stuff that is outside of your wheelhouse. You're already making
Right.
bread. You're already doing it.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
here's an extra loaf that I can sell. It's not
Yeah.
any more time to
Right.
do that. Um, babysitting, well, you already have children, so the more the merrier. I mean,
Yes.
that's brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
calls, again,
Hmm.
that's flexible. I know you're driving. Was it like
Walmart.
Instacart? Walmart. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't tell you when to go in. You just look and see what's available and you decide whether to take it or not. How does that work?
Yeah. It's called Spark. It's amazing. I love it. Uh, yeah, so you have an app, and you can just turn it on whenever you want to work, and you can turn it off whenever you don't want to work. So it's really, you could work for 30 minutes, you could work for an hour, you can work for all day. Like, you could keep it on all day. And that doesn't mean that there's going to be jobs all day, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but there are busy times of the day that, you kind of learn the peaks and the highs and the lows. And the different days of the week that is more busy in your area. But yeah, it's so nice because sometimes I do keep it on all day. And there's been times where I bring my kids with me to do the grocery delivery. We're all in the car, and I'm like, oh, that's a $45 grocery, delivery that I can do. Let me just bring my kids with me.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I've done that. Hmm.
You don't even need to do
Yeah,
the
I love it.
shopping. You just go there and they bring the items to your car and then you drive it to the person that ordered it.
Yeah, you have an option, like, on the app. It'll pop up with whatever jobs are in the area. Some of them are shopping, some of them are just pickup. And so, yeah, you can do either one, whatever you want to do. And it shows you how many miles you'll be driving, or, sometimes it's only like half a mile, sometimes it's 0.3 miles, sometimes it's 11 miles. It's just different. So it'll show you how many miles you'll be driving. If there's like, sometimes there's like two jobs or two drop offs in one kind of thing. So you can just choose what do you want to do, Yeah.
That's great for people that have kids and that cannot. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to hire a babysitter to do something like that because you'd be paying money. You can
Right.
bring kids with you, and I'm sure you have fun in the car and you can sing
Yeah.
songs and still have bonding
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
So, when did you start this? Has that been something that you always kind of wanted to do on the side? Is it something that started after you joined the group and started paying off debt? You're really doing a lot, and it's really inspiring.
Um, you mean like started with all the jobs,
You're
all the
doing a lot.
things,
Yeah, yeah.
like each one?
No, no, I mean just
I
in
mean,
general.
like
Just in general.
yeah. I mean, I've always done the customer service calls since I've been married and decided to stay at home with my son. And then just last year is when I started I was maybe shortly after I joined the group, I want to say. Um Maybe. I don't remember, but yeah, so I think last year I started painting, I started the bread, I started the delivery, driving, and babysitting. I started that all last year. Now that
Wow.
I think of
Wow.
it. Yeah.
That's all right. So what are you doing with the extra money? Are you going to Vegas and just having fun with it? Are you paying down debt? Are you doing a combo of debt paying and fun?
Yeah. No Vegas. I will say we did uh in March or end of February, we went to Florida because that's where I'm from. And so I do go to Florida a couple times a year to see my family, which is, for me, it's like a non-negotiable. I have to see my family. So I'm like, I will work a million jobs if I have to get down there. Um, yeah, so, but that is an expense for sure. But, you know, it's, we're not paying for an Airbnb. So that's nice.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But so with the extra money that I make, it just kind of goes towards I don't take my all my income and separate it from what we make. It just kind of goes into my budget, and it's part of our budget that I do every month.
Nice.
And right now with the extra money, we're trying to pay down our house debt, our mortgage. That's our main focus right now because that's our last debt standing.
What? Yes, yes. That is why I started the whole group. Let's get rid
Yeah,
of our debt, and
yeah,
that's the big one. Okay. Oh my gosh, that has got to feel so good.
yes, yeah. It feels so good.
Okay. So when we started, um, I love you, girl. And
Yes,
I remember you saying, I don't really have any debt. I don't have
yeah,
any debt. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And then you're like, well, just the car debt, but that doesn't count. It was at the truck. And then, oh, and then we have the mortgage. And I'm like, wait a minute. If you owe people money, it's debt. And um, that was powerful for me because I just, if you don't see where you're at, you can't get past it. And
yeah,
I'm sure you're not the only one
yeah.
who is like, as we were talking earlier, oh, everybody has a mortgage. That doesn't count. That doesn't
Right.
count as debt. Well, that's the biggest debt most people have.
Yes.
Mortgage, and then student loans, and then usually there's car loans or medical debt. So you have paid off quite a lot of debt in this past year, and you have
Yeah.
one left. So how did that journey go for you, you know, being in the group? Was there something in particular that inspired you? Was it the accountability? Like
Mhm.
what helped you nail
I'm
that?
yeah, all of it. Definitely the accountability, the hearing the stories about Monique and Grace and you, and all of the our friends in the group who have been sharing their nuggets and their victories and things like that. That's really inspiring. And yeah, it I think, like, as far as like the no debt goes, that was just like such a, I don't know, in school you don't learn about debt, you don't learn about finances, you don't learn about these things. And so when you're thrown into the real world, it took a while for me to realize, oh wait, that is debt. Like, even being in the group, I'm just like, la la la, I don't have debt, I'm just learning things. Like, it's like you just kind of get into this mindset, and you have to unlearn things, and so that's what I've been doing slowly but surely in your group. you know just unlearning and learning, and I'm still working on it, but it's definitely helped in the group. Just all of it has helped me to tackle our debt and face it head on, and take it seriously, really. So yeah, it's been so nice. Not having a car payment is really nice.
Wow. That
Yeah.
that that's a whole weight off. Now, another thing, and again, this is my heart. You pay off debt, and you had mentioned that it even helped your marriage relationship.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, it's helpful when you're on the same page. And our debt and my lack of realizing that our debt is debt, kind of caused a rift in our relationship. But then, when I realized, oh, I guess I guess we should pay off that $3,000 we have on the credit card or whatever. Then it brought us together and, like, okay, let's make a plan. Let's be serious about the budget. And I had the tools from your group that I was able to suggest things and talk to them, talk with it about to my husband. And so, yeah, it's really helpful when you're on the same page about finances. It's because I know a lot of couples fight about finances. And so I'm really thankful that we don't have, we're on the same page.
Yeah, they say, that's a big reason for divorce as well, is arguments about finances. And it's so honoring for you,
Mm-hmm.
Kayla, as a wife,
Mm-hmm.
to to set up being responsible with the finances and getting out of debt, because as wives and stay-at-home moms, we play a huge part while
Mm-hmm.
our husbands are out there working 12-hour days sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a burden, and I think that women do not realize the weight that's on their shoulders
Right.
to
Yeah.
provide for family, and God designed them to take that weight,
Mm-hmm.
and they take it seriously. And my husband, one of the first things that we did that changed us, like I was where you were at a year ago.
Yeah.
um, we went to one of the first steps to success. he didn't want to go, but there was a point where he broke down in tears because he did not think he was a good provider.
Aw.
And that's the pressure that men feel. And he was. I mean, he was working 12-hour days, sometimes 16-hour days, at a difficult job. He was not in an air-conditioned office on Wall Street, and your husband, I mean, that's a very physically demanding job,
Mm.
what he does. So they married their wives because they loved us and they wanted to take care of us.
Mhm.
And for you to honor your husband like that, and for you to lift some of the weight off his shoulders, that has really got to inspire him.
Yeah.
And you're the wind under his wings.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is really an important role for me to be able to know what's going on with our budget and have control of it, and not control, but you know, just to be a part of it, to be a team player. And yeah, so he knows, and especially like bringing in income, that's another thing that I know he appreciates, and he's told me that because it helps. It alleviates that burden a little bit, and um when I know where that money's going, it's also very helpful, so yeah, it's very helpful for a relationship. Yeah.
Well, Kayla, you are an incredible mom, an incredible wife,
Thank
and you are an inspiration in this group. You've inspired me, and I just want to close out and recap some of what you shared. Hey, if you guys want to go and make sourdough bread, it's possible.
Yeah, it's
um,
definitely possible.
it's possible. Persevere for whatever you want to do. If you don't want to make sourdough bread, that's fine, but there's something you do want to do.
Yes.
Persevere. And if you
Yes.
do want to make bread, go to the thrift store, find something for $10, or have one of your relatives give you a bread maker. And it's literally just, all right, here's some yeast, here's
Yes.
some flour, here's some
Yes.
salt, a
Yes. And you're,
little oil or butter. Yeah,
yeah,
button, done.
exactly. Yes. And you're
Um,
saving money. I mean, if your family eats sandwiches or toast, or I saw a video today, even this is not even bread, but like making tortillas, which I have done and I love doing because they taste so much better. But I saw a video about it today that homemade tortillas are 4 times cheaper than store bought, and so many less ingredients, so much better for you. So much tasty, like it's way more tasty than store bought. And so it doesn't even have to be sourdough. It can be, tortillas are a good place to start, waffles, pancakes. You can make those
oh,
easy,
totally.
and they're cheaper. There's so many things that you can make yourself that are easy and cheaper and better for you. So
And I think we said, we figured out you're easily saving $1,000 a year if you
yeah,
make your own bread. $1,000. Who doesn't want $1,000?
yeah,
And there might be a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get in the groove, like you said, you could do it in your sleep. It's like brushing my teeth. When I want to make bread in the bread maker, it's as easy as brushing my teeth. I'm glad you brought up tortillas. You don't need anything special to make tortillas at all. No special skills, no special tools.
no,
Um, Tons of tortilla recipes. That reminded me, I made unleavened bread, so I don't even need yeast.
yeah, yeah,
You can make unleavened bread. You can make naan. There's so
yeah,
many varieties. You're going to be healthier. You're going to save literally easily $1,000 a year.
Yes. Yeah.
$1,000. I keep saying that, like $1,000. Who wouldn't
Yeah.
want $1,000? And again, it's that mindset of what can we do to be faithful with what we have?
Yeah.
And you are also incredibly faithful with your time. So I want to go over your 5 income streams.
Mhm.
Customer service calls from home,
Yeah.
babysitting, selling your art, which is something that you enjoy and you're creative, and wow, you can sell it too. The sourdough loaves, and babysitting. You already have your children. The more the
Yeah.
merrier. 5
Yep.
income streams. I'm gonna, oh, and the driving with
Grocery delivery.
Spark, the driving
Yes.
with Spark. I'm gonna throw out a few other things for people watching the replay. Some things that I did when my son was about the age of your boys. I sold stuff on eBay, junk
Oh.
in my house that I was like, either it was a gift I didn't use or it was something that I bought that I didn't use very much. I started selling things on eBay. It was back at the beginning when
Yeah.
eBay was new. That's how old I am. Um, so selling stuff on eBay. Of course, you can sell stuff on Craigslist. I have found, in order to save money, furniture that people were throwing away.
Oh, yes.
I helped furnish my house.
Mhm.
And I met somebody who was 2 people who were doing the same thing. They knew the garbage rotation. They knew the neighborhoods they
Yeah.
were. And on a certain day and time, they would go and scout the neighborhoods, pick up stuff at the
Mhm.
curb, and resell it on Craigslist. They're literally getting free
Mhm.
inventory.
Yeah.
It's
I've done
just,
that before too.
right. I've kept some stuff and refinished some stuff. But yeah. So those are 2 other ideas as well.
Yeah.
What about pet sitting? I mean, you were babysitting somebody, a young entrepreneur could do house sitting or pet sitting or dog walking. We got my son to start mowing the neighbor's lawn.
Yes.
He didn't even need to buy a lawnmower. We
Yeah.
had it. Go work and
Yep.
set. I mean, it's great to teach our children to learn how to be entrepreneurs and earn extra money. So lots of income streams with whatever skill you have.
Yes.
Hemming
Mhm.
pants. My son needed his pants hemmed as an
Oh.
emergency. Like he's like, oh, I need this done right away. It was a new suit that he earned money for. And I've done hems before, but I just I just put it together. I'm not a seamstress. But in order
Right.
to have a hem done quickly, it was like $50. 50 bucks. I was like,
Wow.
we're gonna figure out how I will do a nice job on your hem. Um,
Yeah.
I had him stand up on the countertop so I could, be there and
Yeah.
put it all together. Yeah, it was. So if
Wow.
you have a skill or if there's something you enjoy, you can make money from it.
Yes. Yeah.
People make a skill organizing closets.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, her husband was in the used car business. And there was a period, was it in 2008 or something, where just the business was decimated. She started her own cleaning business.
Wow. Yeah. Cleaning business is a big one. Yeah, it's a great one.
If you want to make extra income, there's no excuses. There's no
Right.
excuses. Oh, I
Yeah.
have kids. Is that an excuse?
Yeah.
Is that an excuse? No, no. You have kids.
Yeah.
You have 5 extra income streams. I don't have an education. No, that's not an excuse. You don't need a
Yeah.
college degree to go scrub some floors and clean some toilets. And as moms, we do that all the time, especially with boys.
Yes.
Um, art, making bread. If you
Yeah.
enjoy something, if you have a skill, you can make money at it.
Yes. Yeah. You can. There's a million ideas. There's a million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can always, I mean, you can always Google it, look online, TikTok. I mean, there's so many ideas out there. And I'm not saying everyone is legit, but
TikTok. I have another friend who started
mhm.
making money on TikTok, an older guy, just for fun,
Oh,
farting on TikTok. Literally, yeah. Yeah, so he's got like one of those little fart things and he just walks casually by. He has somebody filming him and
no,
like kneel down and like the fart noise will come out and then you have like the reaction
no.
shots. And they're just making money by farting on TikTok.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, money
There's
can be, yeah,
lots of things you can do.
right, right. And I'm not saying you're gonna buy a mansion by farting on TikTok, but I
No.
don't know. Who knows? But you will pay down your debts, you will get financially free, and you will live a life that has more fun, more peace, and better relationships. So
Yes, agreed.
that that's our evening. Kayla, you are phenomenal. Thank you for joining us. Let's if you think of some of the sourdough links or the bread links, go ahead and put them
Yeah.
down when I put up this video. And thank you guys. And accountability. Share your sprouts, encourage somebody else, and let us know where you're winning.
Yeah. Thank you, Larissa.
Thank you, Kayla.